Richard Alexander Murdaugh.
You familiar with the location?
No. Hey, Cody, come around the truck and then go to the building. Come around the truck and then.
There's a set of prints off behind the trailer there.
Yes.
I don't know if it's from
What's
one of
that?
ours or not. There's a set of footprints behind the trailer there too.
Okay.
That's how we kind of try to stay around this whole here so we can step over anything.
5530, 443. There's 8's going to be the last one in and grabbing the 10. We'll get them there. 35.
I see quite a few tire tracks in here. Were any of these you going in and out?
No, I came in here and I left one time and I came back.
Okay.
But the rest of them, maybe
Okay.
from earlier, but
Okay.
only 2 are mine.
Did you go out this way at all?
No.
No, that's right.
Hey, stay here. Got a whole bunch of stuff right there I don't want disturbed.
No, that's why I'm trying to get the door here so we can kind of get around that way.
Your best way is probably going to be back through those rocks because we can't get any tracks off those rocks anymore.
We'll go back around the other way we just came.
Okay. Thank you.
Page 7.
Yep. Do you have names or anything for them?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get that in a little bit then. That's
Okay.
fine.
What unit is 23 on those Alpha 7 unit on scene? Are you behind the house?
There's several of us out here. There's a long dirt driveway right next to the mailbox that says 4147, and you'll see all our lights down here at this shed thing. I think his brother. He said he was calling somebody. So.
He said what?
He said he was calling somebody.
Okay. But he was rolling over in
Yeah, I'm sure he was. There's a couple of shell casings right there.
Yeah, those will be easy to find. I was just marking a couple that were in the gravel. It might be harder to see at some point. Y'all familiar with this family?
Yes. I wasn't until he told me the names. Last
Fill you
name
in later.
Murdaugh.
I don't.
Anything else you need?
I don't think there's gonna be anything from anybody either.
What is that?
Did I tell you?
You said for Evo to do?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Watch the door.
Hey, watch your step.
X-ray 1's going to be right from Roselle Road.
The gentleman in the white shirt is the husband of her, father of him. That is Paul Murdaugh. This is his mother. Paul Murdaugh was that guy in the boating accident from a while back, if you remember.
Yeah.
Most likely. He did have a firearm whenever I pulled up. It's a shotgun. It's been secured in my vehicle.
Well, you've heard the 911 call. You've heard the first officer's interaction with Alex Murdaugh showing up at the hunting lodge / dog kennels where the murders took place. And now I want to play a little bit of Mr. Attorney at Law on the stand during his trial and his arrogance, and just listen.
Where do you go at that point?
I take the chicken from Bubba.
So you get up?
Well, I mean, Bubba's come out there with this chicken. I mean, he's showing us, hey, I caught this chicken. And I take the chicken from Bubba.
Bubba came up to the golf cart?
He came up by the golf cart. He came up to Maggie and I, which I was on the golf cart. She's by the golf cart. I mean, he's not coming to the golf cart, but he's coming to us.
Is this during the kennel video or is this after the kennel video?
Well, no, you hear Maggie say he's got a chicken. Okay. That's what she's talking about, is Bubba caught a chicken.
All right. So is the kennel video still going on before you go get the chicken? I mean, you've heard it, correct? You've heard it in this courtroom.
I don't know exactly. I I don't know exactly, but in close timing to Bubba coming out of those woods with the chicken, I got up and took the chicken from him.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Were the dogs barking and carrying on or going out into the woods or acting like they sensed somebody was around that they didn't know?
Were the dogs acting like there was somebody around that they didn't know?
Yeah, like dogs do.
No.
No, they weren't.
There was nobody around that the dogs didn't know.
Okay. Dogs didn't, to your indication, sense anything out of the ordinary. They were just chasing after the guinea.
There was nobody else around.
All right. Good.
For them to sense.
Where do you go at that point?
I take the chicken from Bubba.
All right, so you get up?
Well, I mean, Bubba's come out there with this chicken. I mean, he's showing us, hey, I caught this chicken. And I take the chicken from Bubba.
Bubba came up to the golf cart?
He came up by the golf cart. He came up to Maggie and I, which I was on the golf cart. She's by the golf cart. I mean, he's not coming to the golf cart, but he's coming to us.
Is this during the kennel video or is this after the kennel video?
Well, no, you hear Maggie say he's got a chicken. Okay. That's what she's talking about is Bubba caught a chicken.
All right. All right. So is the kennel video still going on before you go get the chicken? I mean, you've heard it, correct? You've heard it in this courtroom.
I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly, but in close timing to Bubba coming out of those woods with the chicken, I got up and took the chicken from him.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Were the dogs barking and carrying on or going out into the woods or acting like they sensed somebody was around that they didn't know?
Were the dogs acting like there was somebody around that they didn't know?
Yeah, like dogs do.
No.
They weren't.
There was nobody around that the dogs didn't know.
Okay. Dogs didn't, to your indication, sense anything out of the ordinary. They were just chasing after the guinea.
There was nobody else around.
All right. Good.
For them to sense.
All right. But you're saying you couldn't hear blackout shots, supposedly, but you could hear that, correct?
I didn't say I couldn't hear blackout shots, but I'm saying that I thought when I got up from taking a nap, if I took a nap, but when I got up from laying down, as I was getting ready to go to my mom's, there was a point in time where I thought Maggie and Paul had come back.
You also told them that you thought you heard a wildcat, but maybe it was a person or something like that as well?
No, that's not what I said.
What did you say then?
I said when I went outside that there's a house cat that's gone wild, and he hangs around. He goes from hanging around the shop, goes from hanging around the house, different times. You might, and there'll be times you don't see him. And he had been around the house. And when I went outside, I believe that cat was over there.
Okay. And you made a point of mentioning that to law enforcement.
I never thought it was a person.
All right. But you made a point of mentioning that to law enforcement, correct?
Other than lying to them about going to the kennel, I was cooperative in every aspect of this investigation.
Very cooperative, except for maybe the most important fact of all, that you were at the murder scene with the victims just minutes before they died, right?
I did not tell them that I went to the kennel. In the course of discussing it, I did tell them that.
But you never told them all this new story that you've constructed in light of this trial, is that correct?
I did not tell them that I went to the kennel. I lied about that.
And at the same time, you also looked at this jury and tried to tell them that you had been cooperative in this investigation. You're telling this jury that that's what happened, and you were back at the house at 8:49, and you lay down on the couch and doze for a second, and then you were up with more steps in a shorter time period than you had done all day.
Well, I mean, your number is 8:49. What I'm telling this jury is that I went down there, and when I took that chicken from Bubba, I would have said something to Mags. I got back on that golf cart, and I drove back to my house, After getting back to my house, I went inside, and in short order, I went to the couch. That's what I'm telling this jury.
Did you go anywhere else in the house?
Mr. Waters, I can't tell you specifically about that. I don't think so, but I may have.
Did you have that tan blackout and a 12-gauge shotgun on that golf cart when you drove down there?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Did you see them when you were down there?
No.
No. So we got you back around 8:49 and you're leaving at 9:02, correct? And you didn't see any weapons down there. You just happened to be back there. You didn't hear anything at all. Did you hear anything at all, Mr. Murdaugh, during that time period?
No, I did not.
You didn't? Didn't you tell law enforcement that you thought you heard them pull up? Didn't you tell law enforcement that?
I did.
Why would he even think to lie about that if he were an innocent man? Why would he even think about that? But he got on the stand and he's told you a story, and we're going to talk more about that story in a minute. But his story was that he didn't want to go down there, and then he went down there, and he went down there really quick and carried the chicken and went straight back, and he can't remember anything about what he talked about with Maggie. He can't remember their conversation at dinner, but he's dadgum sure about the fact that he went down there and went straight back. But even if you give him the benefit of the doubt, his story doesn't make sense. Because that kennel video is 50 seconds. It's over at 8:45. Even if you give him the benefit of the doubt that he could take care of the chicken and maybe the fastest dog and chicken chase ever, and put that chicken up and not say a word to Maggie and Paul and get on that golf cart and drive all the way back to the house, where does that put you? It puts you right at 8:49. At which point he claims he went inside and he managed to doze for a second. Then he's up at 9:02, perhaps the quickest nap ever. It doesn't make sense, ladies and gentlemen. It's a new story to fit facts he can no longer deny. From a person who, not a single person who was close to him knew who he really was. Not a single person close to him hadn't been lied to by this man. And I will submit to you that this one is the most blatant one yet. And we'll talk more about that in a second. You heard that Maggie had no defensive wounds. You also heard Paul and sibling from that first shot, a close range shot, with no indication that he detected a threat from the person who fired that weapon. And why? Because it was him. Same with Maggie, because Maggie sees what happens and she comes running over there, running to her baby. Probably the last thing on her mind, thinking that it was him who had done this. She's running to her baby while he's picked up the blackout and opens fire at close range, again with no defensive wounds. And she takes those two shots that you heard Dr. Reber say were parallel, and it crumples her over. In those cases, you can see them move around. Takes that shot that goes through here. She goes down flat, and then there's the shot in the back of the head.
Alright, well, we started the story out with just a few young'uns, a few young people, a few young bucks. Just going out trying to do some might say harmless underage drinking, if that makes any sense. I don't know, but anyway, well, from what it started out to be, to this big, huge fucking disaster that Richard Alexander has created. We mentioned a Stephen Smith, 19, found a few miles away from the Murdaugh home. It's initially been called as a hit and run and had trauma to the head. Well, Sandy Smith, his mother, created a GoFundMe account which raised $100,000. She put up $35,000 to go to a reward for anybody that has any information leading to her son Stephen's murder. It's been ruled a homicide after the second autopsy anyway. So that one classified as a homicide. Anyway, Anyway, between Stephen Smith and there was